Spin around the other way. No, I'm sorry. Spin your feet to the cardboard. I don't want anybody to get flashed. Okay, you good? Okay, feet up. Okay, so we left off last class with this, right? Okay, and when feet are here, right? It's like tipping a scale with or a seesaw, right? There's more weight on one side, it's gonna want to do this, but if there's more weight on the other side. So here, gravity working through the mass of the legs is trying to left transverse pelvic or right transverse trunk. How do I know it's right transverse trunk? Come back down. Let's see, let's try to keep the pelvis. Come up, come up, come up, come up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Look how your trunk is twisted. You'd have to twist this way to go back home. So you have to be twisted this way. Does that make sense? Okay. So the same thing here. Right transverse pelvic, left transverse trunk, left transverse pelvic, right transverse trunk, okay? Now what I wanted to show you guys today, this might be a little tricky, but we're okay. Come up, rest your hands here, okay? Twist to your right, okay? Put your arms out like a solid bar of steel, okay? Connect them, like interplay. There you go, okay? It's all good. Push against my hand, push against my arm. Okay, push, 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 push. If I let you go, he's gonna rotate his trunk to the left. And the reason is because I'm trying to twist his trunk to the right. Does that make sense? I'm pushing against your hand. One more, push, 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 push. Okay. Now what I wanna show you is that the same muscles that are trying to push, that are trying to twist his trunk to the left. Now at the same time you're pushing against my arm, push against my arm on the other side with your feet. Okay? We got it, we got it, we got it. It's my fault, I let go. I'm gonna keep this here. Push, push on both. Push on your feet, push on your feet. You see how his feet spun? So what I'm trying to show you is that the same muscles, push, push, that are trying to spin his trunk to the left are also push, 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 trying to spin his pelvis to the right. See what I'm trying to get to? One more time. Push, push, push. The same muscles that want to do that to the trunk want to do push, push, push this to the pelvis. Same muscles. Okay, thank you. We have a nice machine if you need. You feel that, was that a good example to kind of feel what's happening? Just say yes, even if it's not. Just pretend. Once again, come on in, come on in. Thank you for letting me know. We're all good. Once again, guys, the reason this stuff is tough, I'd be lying to you if I said it was easy. The reason this stuff is tough is because in our normal everyday lives, we typically only have one thing that moves about another thing that's always fixed. Faucets, doors, right? But in our bodies, that's not the case. We have movable things in both cases. We have movable things. So it gets a little tricky. But I'm here to show you that if I have something that runs crisscross, apple squash, this pull is trying to bring my left shoulder to my right hip, but it's also trying to bring my right hip to my left shoulder. Like the way it's running, it doesn't, you know, muscles, they say muscle memory. Muscles don't think, they react. You zap them and they pull. The muscle doesn't, what are they trying to get me to do? They just pull. And so when things that run diagonal pull, they're just trying to bring these two pieces together. Okay? So let's go back to the, there were names for them, windshield wipers, Russian twists, whatever you want to call them. But let's start where, if you were interpreting my muscles, and I started with my legs on my left side, I bring it up, and then I go to the right side. And I bring it up, and I go to the left side. Also, let's interpret that I don't hold a position. In other words, there's going to be change of direction, change of direction, change in direction, change in direction. Some of the things you guys are going to have to establish is we can't, at this level, okay, You know, there's different levels in like pro baseball, right? There's minor leagues, and you move up, and then the majors is, right? Minor leagues is like, and again, I'm not talking bad about them, guys. I'm saying that we need to be above that level. We can't use terms like, I'm working the core. That's a punt. You know, I'm working the core, because that's an easy way out, just to say I'm working stuff in here. You're gonna have to know who you're working and how they're working, because sometimes there's contraindications. There's certain conditions, there's certain injuries, there's certain problems where there's certain muscles you need to take a break, and there's others you're gonna need to innovate. So if all you have to do is just randomly work stuff, then nothing balances itself out, right? We have to be in the major leagues of this. We have to be able to say, hey, I know I'm working this group of muscles when I'm doing this, that group of muscles when I'm doing that. Here's my plyometric sequence here, here's my plyometric sequence there, because you may have to work backwards to create situations where I really need to create plyometric sequences of certain groups of muscles, okay? So again, I'm not saying it's not good to play in the minor leagues, but we need to develop our understandings of muscles and function so that we don't have to just default to, I don't know what I'm working, so I'm just gonna say core. I'm working the core. It's an easy way out, okay? So let's discuss it. Small groups, voices in your head, legs this way, my upper extremity is fixed. That's why you put your arms out, in case grabbing the table, fix your upper extremity. My pelvis, I'm gonna speak to the motions in terms of pelvic girdle rotation, but you guys know the muscles that were responsible for that were tummy muscles, right? Okay, I think that's scientific, tummy muscles. I start off here. I have right transverse pelvic girdle rotation all the way to here. Then I change direction and do left transverse. Now we can go into the rabbit hole a little bit further. I sped up right transverse pelvic, kept it going, slow and controlled, slow down right transverse pelvic, speed up left transverse pelvic. Nice, slow and controlled, slow down left transverse pelvic, speed up right transverse pelvic. Key things I'm asking you to analyze. Which specific groups of muscles am I working and when? How are those muscles working? Concentric, eccentric? Where's my plyometric sequences? That kind of stuff. Okay? Any clarification about what I'm asking you to analyze? We're good? Okay. Yes, sir.
Is there always going to be a plyometric sequence if there isn't like external weight involved? So like if you're doing calisthenics or something like that, exercise that you don't need weight for, would there be two plyometric sequences instead of just one?
Give me an example, so that way I'm on the same page with you.
Like if you're
Show me.
like a push-up.
Oh, there's plyometric sequence of push-up. The only way there wouldn't be is if you lower yourself down and let the ground stop you, right? And then you concentrically do this, you eccentrically do that, but then let the weight stop you. Or if you're doing a bench press, you lower it down and then let your chest stop you, right? If your muscles don't do the brake followed by the gas, then that wouldn't be true plyometric.
So would there be two plyometric sequences in that, or would there only be one?
Only one. Because remember, you have to have eccentric followed by concentric and change in direction. At the top part, I don't have a change in direction because of eccentric followed by concentric. It's concentric followed by the eccentric with that change in direction. So that doesn't fit our rules. That would be gravity's plyometric sequence, and gravity doesn't have plyometric sequence.
So instead of the other way, you're letting gravity pretty much do the job.
Now you're changing the concept. Yeah, you have eccentric followed by concentric, letting gravity speed you up, but then if you don't bang your chest to the ground, your muscles have to slow you down. Your muscles didn't have to speed you up. I could just fall to the ground, right? But my muscles have to slow me down unless I let the ground slow me down. It's the same thing we did jumping jacks, right? Where the reason I said we don't clap here and we don't clap there is for exactly that reason. I wanted you to see how the muscles could put on the brakes and put on the gas. If I did this and I do this, I don't have any plyometric sequences, because who did it? The impact from my left hand and my right hand feeling each other with Newton's third law. Who slowed me down? The collision from my hand and my thigh from Newton's third law. So that's inferring that I understand what you're talking about. Now, keep in mind, when I say understand what you're talking about, I understand. It's just sometimes I need to make sure I understand your specific question. And that's why I tried to funnel it back, because all of a sudden you were like, so you're letting gravity? That had nothing to do with the change in direction when it came time to put on the brakes and then turn on the gas. Okay. Awesome. How about we get to work? Does that sound good? Let's do it.
The question is.
You forgot what the question was? Somebody took me on a detour, huh? Take a ride on the riverboat. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Because you know why? Why not? I'm going to, if whoever's willing, say half of you. But no, I'll tell you what, if you're a mover and a shaker, and you wanna try this stuff out, there is a physical education lab that has just a bunch of freshly cleaned carpet in it that you can move and feel and try to figure out. And then the rest of you who are not movers can stay in here and think about it. Anybody want to take me up on that offer and come into the empty room to test her out? Come on.